Shut up. You belong in the kitchen, not my dining room, you ghetto rat. Vincent Rothschild's manicured hand struck Dr. Maya Thompson's face. Her wire-rimmed glasses exploded across Le Bernardin's marble floor. Blood splattered from her split lip onto her simple white blouse. Maya stood motionless among the crystal chandeliers and gold-trimmed walls. Her dark jeans and worn leather handbag looked starkly out of place against the $500 per plate backdrop. While other women wore designer gowns and diamonds, she appeared almost ordinary, dignified, silent, unbreaking. Food blogger Jessica Chang's phone captured everything. The vicious slap, the scattered glass shards, the composed black woman facing down Manhattan's most arrogant heir in his natural habitat. Have you ever been physically assaulted simply for existing in a space where someone decided you didn't belong? What happened next will make your jaw drop. 7:30 a.m., Mount Sinai Research Hospital doctor. Maya Thompson adjusted her microscope, studying cancer cells that could save thousands of lives. Her lab coat hung loose over simple scrubs. No makeup. Hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Just another day fighting death at the molecular level. Around her, the lab hummed with quiet intensity. Graduate students analyzed protein sequences. Research assistants cataloged data that could revolutionize treatment protocols. Maya's team was on the verge of a breakthrough that would save 100,000 lives annually. Her phone buzzed. David's text. "Can't wait for tonight, baby. 10 years and you still take my breath away." Maya smiled, touching her simple wedding band. Tonight wasn't about luxury. It was about celebrating a decade of quiet love with the man who saw her brilliance before the world did. She'd met David when he was building his first startup from a cramped apartment, back when dreams mattered more than bank accounts. 2:30 p.m., research breakthrough. Dr. Thompson, her research assistant, burst into the lab. The protein inhibitor worked. Tumor cell death rate increased by 340%. Maya's hands trembled as she reviewed the data. Years of work were finally paying off. This discovery could change everything for pancreatic cancer patients. But celebration would wait. Tonight was about David. 6:45 p.m., Maya's apartment. Maya chose her outfit carefully, not for impressions, for comfort. Dark wash jeans that fit perfectly, classic black blazer that never went out of style, white cotton blouse, crisp and clean, her grandmother's vintage leather handbag worn soft with stories and memories. She deliberated over jewelry. Her engagement ring, a stunning 3-carat diamond, sat in its velvet box. Beautiful but impractical for subway travel, she settled for her simple platinum wedding band and small pearl earrings. In the mirror, she looked ordinary, approachable, real, exactly how she preferred it. Maya had learned early that wealth whispered while poverty screamed. True power didn't need an announcement. 7:10 p.m., subway to Manhattan. Maya rode the 6 train like any other New Yorker. Tourists in designer clothes clutched expensive purses, terrified of pickpockets. Maya read medical journals on her phone, completely at ease. A construction worker offered her his seat. She thanked him with genuine warmth. This was her world. Real people living real lives. 7:15 p.m., Le Bernardin entrance. The golden glow of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant spilled onto the sidewalk. Maya approached the hostess stand, her simple outfit a stark contrast to the glittering crowd. Women in $3,000 Hermes dresses glided past like exotic birds. Men wore watches worth more than most people's annual salaries. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbows across marble floors. Gold-trimmed mirrors reflected wealth and privilege. Every detail screamed exclusivity. Maya belonged to this world by wealth. She chose not to dress the part. "Good evening," Maya said to the young hostess. "Thompson reservation for 7:30. Sarah, barely 22 and clearly new, looked confused. Her eyes traveled from Maya's jeans to her practical handbag to her subway must-hair. Around them, other guests glided past in designer everything. Are you here for a catering delivery? The service entrance is around the back." Maya's smile never wavered. "No, I have a dinner reservation, Thompson party." Sarah's fingers hesitated over her tablet like she was defusing a bomb. "Thompson, let me check." She scrolled slowly, clearly hoping the name wouldn't appear. "I see a VIP anniversary package for $2,500. Are you absolutely certain that's you?" The question carried weight beyond its words. Around them, other guests noticed the holdup. Conversation slowed. Eyes turned toward the hostess stand. Whispers started like autumn leaves rustling. Yes, that's my reservation. My husband will join me shortly. A server in crisp whites leaned over to Sarah. She doesn't look like she can afford the wine pairing, he murmured, just loud enough for Maya to hear. Maybe check if the credit card's stolen? Maya pulled out her phone, showing the confirmation email with steady hands. Here are my reservation details. Sarah studied the screen like a detective examining evidence for forgery. The credit card? Does it actually match your name? It does. And you can genuinely afford this? The anniversary package includes champagne service, 7 courses, wine pairings? Sarah's voice trailed off, implying the impossibility. I understand what I ordered. The whispers grew louder. Other diners began staring openly, phones discreetly recording. Maya felt their judgment like physical weight pressing down, but her posture remained perfect. Shoulders back, chin up, dignified as a queen. A woman in Chanel leaned on her companion, probably using a stolen credit card. They always try the expensive places first. Maya heard every word, said nothing. 7:20 p.m., Vincent's entrance. The brass doors swung open with authority. Vincent Rothschild III strode in wearing confidence like expensive cologne. His $4,000 Tom Ford suit was cut to perfection. Italian leather shoes clicked against marble like a countdown timer. Behind him, 3 high-profile investors followed like eager puppies seeking approval. Vincent owned this space. His family's restaurant empire had helped finance half the establishments in this neighborhood. He ate here twice a week, always at table 7, always with important people who needed impressing. The staff knew his preferences, his prejudices, his expectations. He noticed the commotion immediately. What's the delay? Vincent approached the hostess stand with entitled impatience. His eyes swept over Maya, taking in her jeans, her simple handbag, her complete lack of designer anything. She looked like a scholarship student who'd wandered into Yale by mistake. Mr. Rothschild! Sarah's relief was palpable. Finally, someone who belonged. This woman claims to have the Thompson VIP reservation, but Vincent's lips curved into a condescending smile that didn't reach his eyes. Claims? He turned to Maya with the kind of look reserved for insects found floating in expensive soup. Excuse me, miss. I think there's been a serious misunderstanding. This is Le Bernardin, not Applebee's. I have a reservation here, Maya replied with quiet dignity. A reservation? Vincent laughed, a sound like crystal breaking against stone. Here? I find that highly unlikely. Sarah, what exactly is this situation? She says she has the Thompson anniversary package, but... Sarah gestured helplessly at Maya's appearance like presenting evidence in court. The Thompson package? Vincent's eyebrows rose in theatrical disbelief. That's a $2,500 dinner. Do you have any idea what that costs, sweetheart? The endearment dripped with venom. Around them, the crowd grew thicker. Other diners abandoned their conversations to watch the spectacle unfold. This was better than Broadway. Are you really? Vincent stepped closer, using his 6'2" frame to tower over Maya's 5'6" figure. Because that handbag looks like it came from a garage sale. Those jeans probably cost less than my appetizer tonight. Hell, less than my parking fee. Maya's phone rang. David's name flashed on the cracked screen protector she'd never bothered replacing. If you'll excuse me, Maya started to answer. No, I will not excuse you. Vincent's voice carried across the marble lobby like a whip crack. Sarah, call security immediately. This woman is clearly running some pathetic scam. Maya answered her phone with steady hands. Hi, honey, I'm running a few minutes behind. Running behind? Vincent's face flushed red with indignation. You're not running anywhere except out that door with your tail between your legs. This is a respectable establishment. We have standards here. High standards that people like you will never understand. His investor companions shifted uncomfortably. Richard Blackstone, a hedge fund manager, pulled out his phone to record discreetly. This kind of public meltdown could be valuable leverage later. A woman at the bar whispered loudly to her friend. I bet she saw the restaurant on Instagram and thought she could just walk in. They always think they deserve what we've earned through generations of hard work. Maya continued her phone conversation, voice calm as still water. David, there seems to be some confusion about our reservation. A gentleman here believes I don't belong. Gentleman? Vincent's laugh was sharp enough to cut crystal. I'm Vincent Rothschild III. My family built this neighborhood. We created the culture you're trying to steal, and you, sweetheart, are about as welcome here as a cockroach in my grandmother's china cabinet." The words hit their target. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones emerged from purses and jacket pockets like weapons. This was content gold. An older man in a Rolex called out, "Should we be concerned about our safety? These people can get violent when confronted." 7:25 p.m. Manager's intervention. Robert Carter, the restaurant manager, approached with practiced diplomatic concern. His $200 shoes clicked against marble as he assessed the situation. Vincent was a VIP client whose family spent $50,000 annually here. Maya was unknown, potentially dangerous to business. "Mr. Rothschild, perhaps we can discuss this privately," Carter suggested, his accent polished by years of managing entitled wealth. "There's nothing to discuss, Robert." Vincent's voice rose another decibel. "This woman is trying to steal someone else's reservation. Look at her. Does she look like she belongs in Le Bernardin? Does she look like she could afford a glass of water here?" Chen studied Maya's appearance. Worn jeans, simple blazer, Subway must hair, discount store accessories. Then he glanced at Vincent. Immaculate $4,000 suit, $30,000 Patek Philippe watch, confident posture of inherited privilege and generational wealth. The choice was obvious. "Ma'am," Carter addressed Maya with practiced politeness, masking clear bias, "perhaps we can seat you at the bar while we verify your reservation details. Just to ensure everything is legitimate and in proper order." "Everything is already in order," Maya replied. "I have confirmation, payment receipt, and valid identification. What more verification could you possibly need?" "Well, sometimes these online booking systems get compromised." Carter trailed off meaningfully. Credit card fraud is epidemic these days. "We have to protect our establishment and our genuine customers." Vincent seized the opening like a predator smelling blood. "Online booking systems get hacked constantly. Identity theft is rampant. Robert, you're being far too generous. This woman needs to leave before she embarrasses herself further and wastes more of our valuable time." A man in an Armani suit called out from his table, "Just call the police already. We didn't pay $500 a plate to watch some ghetto drama unfold. This is supposed to be fine dining." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Maya felt the hostility building like pressure in a boiler ready to explode. 7:27 p.m., security arrives. Derek Williams, the restaurant's security guard, approached reluctantly. At 45, he'd seen enough discrimination to recognize it instantly. His own dark skin made Vincent's motivations crystal clear, but his mortgage payments and his daughter's college tuition made resistance impossible. "Ma'am," Derek said quietly, his voice heavy with reluctant authority and personal shame, "I'm going to have to ask you to step outside while we sort this situation out." Maya looked into Derek's eyes and saw the conflict there. "Officer Williams, I have every legal right to be here. I've provided all required documentation." "I know, ma'am. I know." Derek's voice dropped to a whisper. "But they're making me ask. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. For both of us." Vincent overheard the exchange. "Making it harder? She's the one causing problems. Derek, remove this woman immediately or I'll have you replaced by someone who actually follows orders instead of sympathizing with troublemakers." The threat hung in the air like toxic smoke. Derek had 3 kids and a wife battling cancer. He needed this job. I needed health insurance, needed to swallow his dignity. "Ma'am, please," Derek said, his voice cracking with each word. Maya felt the circle closing around her but refused to break. "I'll wait right here for my husband, thank you." 7:28 p.m., Vincent's explosive rage. Vincent's face turned crimson. The crowd was watching. His investors were recording. His reputation was on the line. This nobody in discount jeans was making him look weak in front of people whose respect he desperately needed. "Your husband?" Vincent's voice dripped with vicious skepticism. "Let me guess, he's parking his imaginary Bentley? Or maybe he's flying in on his private jet from Fantasyland?" Cruel laughter echoed from the crowd. Maya's humiliation was becoming prime entertainment. "Actually," a woman in Cartier jewelry called out, "maybe her husband is the one washing dishes in the back kitchen. That would explain how she knew about this place and got the reservation details." More laughter. Phones captured every moment for social media. Maya stood motionless in the center of it all, dignity intact despite the coordinated assault on her humanity. Vincent stepped closer, invading her personal space aggressively. "You know what I think? I think you saw some rich woman's reservation confirmation on a stolen phone and decided to play dress-up for the evening. Absolutely pathetic. Maya's phone rang again, David's second call. Don't you dare answer that phone, Vincent snapped, reaching for her device. Maya pulled it back protectively. You have no legal right to— I have every right. Vincent's voice boomed across the restaurant like thunder. This is my world. These are my people. You are nothing here, less than nothing. You're a mistake that wandered in from the street. The words echoed off marble walls like gunshots. The crowd went silent, sensing they'd crossed from entertainment into something much darker and more dangerous. Maya answered her phone with hands that trembled only slightly. Hi, sweetheart. Hey, I'm sorry, but there's been an interesting development here. Interesting? Vincent's laugh was hollow and cruel. The only thing interesting will be watching security drag you out in handcuffs while everyone films it for World Star. David, Maya continued with supernatural calm, I'm at Le Bernardin with Vincent Rothschild. He seems to have very strong opinions about my presence here. Vincent felt something shift in Maya's tone. The name recognition flickered in his brain like a warning light, but he couldn't place it. Something was wrong. Who exactly are you calling? Vincent demanded, his confidence wavering for the first time. My husband, Maya replied simply. Vincent grabbed Maya's purse suddenly, dumping the contents across the marble floor. Lipstick, keys, medical journals, and her wallet scattered like evidence at a crime scene. Let's see what's really in here, Vincent snarled, kicking at her belongings. Probably stolen credit cards and fake IDs. Maya knelt to collect her scattered possessions, maintaining dignity while Vincent towered over her menacingly. Your husband? Vincent forced another laugh, but it sounded hollow. What's he going to do? Threaten to sue us with his public defender lawyer? Maya stood slowly, broken glasses in one hand, phone in the other. She looked directly into Vincent's eyes with laser focus. David, honey, could you explain to Mr. Rothschild exactly what you do for a living? She held the phone toward Vincent, speaker activated. A calm, measured voice filled the marble lobby. Vincent Rothschild, tell him David Thompson from Food Flow is very interested in this conversation. Crack! Vincent's hand connected with Maya's face. The slap echoed through Le Bernardin like a gunshot. Maya's head snapped to the side. Her wire-rimmed glasses exploded across the marble floor in a shower of glass and metal. Blood trickled from her split lip onto her white blouse. 50 elite diners froze in stunned silence. Maya touched her cheek where Vincent's handprint was already forming. She looked down at her broken glasses, then back at Vincent with eyes like steel. Mr. Rothschild? Maya said quietly, her voice carrying across the silent restaurant. You just committed felony assault in front of 47 witnesses and at least 12 recording devices. Vincent's hand still stung from the impact. His face was purple with rage and panic. You were threatening me. Everyone saw it. She was threatening me with some made-up husband. Maya bent gracefully to collect her shattered glasses. Blood from her lips spotted the marble as she stood. David, she said into her phone, which had somehow survived the chaos. Vincent just slapped me. The voice on the speaker was no longer calm. Ice-cold fury replaced diplomatic politeness. He did what? Slapped me. Hard enough to break my glasses. There's blood. Are you safe? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Cut lip, bruised cheek. Nothing serious. Maya's voice remained steady as a surgeon's hands. About 20,000 people are watching this live on various social media platforms now. Vincent's blood turned to Arctic water. 20,000? Around the restaurant, phones were indeed recording from every angle. Jessica Chang, the food blogger, was providing live commentary to her 47,892 viewers. This is unprecedented. We're witnessing assault in real time at Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant. The hashtags were multiplying. #LeBarnardin assault, #restaurant racism, #foodflow CEO. TikTok videos were racking up views by the thousands. Twitter was exploding. Instagram stories were going viral faster than the platform could process them. David, Maya continued, I think Mr. Rothschild would like to know exactly who you are. The voice through the phone speaker filled the marble lobby with quiet authority. I'm David Thompson, founder and CEO of Food Flow. We process 71% of all restaurant delivery orders in North America. Vincent staggered backward like he'd been shot. Food Flow, that's impossible. For Rothschild Restaurant Group specifically, David's voice continued with the precision of a financial surgeon. We handle $2.8 billion in annual orders. $2.8 billion? Vincent's voice cracked like a teenager's. That represents 67% of your total revenue. 89% of your recovery from the pandemic came through our platform. The math hit Vincent like a freight train. Without food flow, the Rothschild restaurant group would collapse within months. 23 of their 47 locations would close. 8,900 jobs would disappear. His inheritance would evaporate. His investor companions were already backing away, phones out, frantically texting their firms. Richard Blackstone whispered urgently into his phone, "Sell everything. Sell it all, now. The Rothschild positions, everything connected to restaurant delivery, move fast." "This can't be happening," Vincent whispered, his arrogance crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane. Maya smiled for the first time that evening. It wasn't warm. It was the smile of a chess master announcing checkmate. "Oh, but it is happening, Vincent, and it's all being recorded in glorious 4K resolution." Her phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it, and her smile widened like a blade. "David says he's 2 minutes away. He was already close by for our dinner." Maya looked directly into Vincent's terrified eyes. "He's very eager to meet you, very eager indeed." Vincent's father chose that catastrophic moment to call. Vincent's phone rang with the Rothschild Group corporate ringtone, Pachelbel's cannon, pretentious even for them. "Dad, What have you done?" Rothschild Sr.'s voice exploded through the phone loud enough for everyone to hear. "The board is watching live streams of you assaulting someone. Our stock is already down 18% and falling like a stone. Dad, she was threatening us. She was what? Vincent, do you have any idea who David Thompson is? Some tech guy with a food app? Some tech guy?" His father's voice reached frequencies that could shatter the crystal chandelier. "He controls the entire delivery ecosystem. Without food flow, we're dead. The business is dead. Everything your great-grandfather built is dead." The restaurant had become a theater of corporate destruction. Diners whispered frantically into phones, calling their brokers, their lawyers, their crisis management teams. The Rothschild Group's stock price was in freefall, dragging down related restaurant stocks with it. Maya examined her broken glasses, turning the twisted frames in her hands like evidence at a crime scene. "You know, Vincent, these were my grandmother's frames. She wore them while earning her medical degree in 1952. When black women weren't supposed to be doctors, when people like you told people like her they didn't belong, I didn't know," Vincent stammered, sweat beading on his forehead despite the restaurant's perfect climate control. "You didn't care to know." Maya's voice was soft, but carried the weight of generations. "You saw what you wanted to see, a black woman in simple clothes who didn't belong in your world. You never asked what I did for a living, never wondered why I could afford a $2,500 dinner. You just assumed." Derek Williams, the security guard, approached hesitantly. His face showed a mixture of professional duty and personal satisfaction. "Ma'am, are you pressing charges? Because I can detain him right now for assault and battery." Maya considered this carefully. Around them, the crowd held its breath. The livestream viewers were typing frantically. "Press charges! Make him pay! Justice for Maya!" "Not yet, Derek. Let's see what happens when my husband arrives. I have a feeling this conversation is about to become much more interesting." Vincent's lawyer was already on the line, screaming instructions through the phone. "Don't say another word. Don't admit anything. Get out of there now. This is a disaster." But Vincent couldn't move. He was trapped by the crowd, by the cameras, by the weight of his own actions and their cascading consequences. His entire world was collapsing in real time, streamed live to hundreds of thousands of viewers. Jessica Chang was providing expert commentary to her audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the fastest corporate meltdown in restaurant history. Rothschild Group stock is down 26% and falling. Industry analysts are calling this the food flow effect, when platform dependency meets public relations disaster." Maya's phone buzzed again. She read the message and nodded with satisfaction. "Vincent, David wanted me to share something interesting with you. Do you know what Foodflow's current market valuation is?" Vincent shook his head mutely, his voice completely gone. $47 billion. Do you know what your family's restaurant group is worth?" Again, Vincent couldn't speak. The numbers were too big, too devastating. "About 800 million. On a good day, which today is definitely not." The disparity crushed Vincent like a physical weight. His family's century-old empire was a rounding error compared to David Thompson's technological dominance. Maya continued with surgical precision. David also wanted you to know about Clause 15.7 in our partnership contract, the conduct standards provision. Conduct standards? Vincent's voice was barely a whisper. Any partner executive engaging in discriminatory or illegal behavior triggers immediate contract review. Assault with hate crime enhancement definitely qualifies. Vincent's knees gave out. He grabbed the hostess stand for support, his Italian leather shoes slipping on the marble floor. This can't be legal. You can't destroy my family's business because of one mistake. Maya's laugh was soft and deadly. One mistake? Vincent, you spent 30 minutes publicly humiliating me, grabbed my belongings, destroyed my property, and then committed assault, all while being recorded by dozens of people and broadcast live to the world. The restaurant doors opened with a whoosh of autumn air. David Thompson stepped inside like he owned the world, which in many ways he did. He was tall, understated, wearing a simple black suit that probably cost more than most cars but looked almost modest. No flashy jewelry, no designer logos, just quiet power radiating from every pore. His presence filled the room without effort. Conversations stopped. Phones turned toward him like flowers following the sun. He walked directly to Maya, ignoring everyone else in the restaurant as if they were furniture. Baby, he said softly, examining her cut lip and bruised cheek with gentle fingers. I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. Maya leaned into his touch. It's been educational. David's jaw tightened as he saw the blood on her blouse, the scattered remains of her grandmother's glasses. His eyes found Vincent, who was still clinging to the hostess stand like a drowning man. You must be Vincent, David said quietly. His voice carried no anger, no threat, just quiet certainty that was somehow more terrifying than any scream. It was the voice of a man who could end careers with a phone call and had done so before. Mr. Thompson, we need to talk. David's interruption was polite but absolute. But first, let me help my wife. He knelt gracefully, collecting the scattered pieces of Maya's broken glasses with careful hands. Each shard represented hours of humiliation, generations of struggle, decades of quiet dignity in the face of ignorance. These were special to you, David said, not asking. My grandmother's frames. She wore them through medical school when black women weren't welcome in medicine. David's expression darkened. He stood slowly, the broken glasses cradled in his palm like evidence in a murder trial. Vincent, David said, his voice carrying across the silent restaurant, do you understand what you've destroyed here tonight? Vincent's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Around them, the live stream audience had grown to over 150,000 viewers across multiple platforms. Hash Food Flow CEO was trending worldwide. CNN had just broken into regular programming. It was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? David's eyebrows rose slightly. You spent 30 minutes humiliating my wife, destroyed her personal property, and then committed assault, all because you decided she didn't belong here. David's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and nodded to someone across the restaurant. Maya noticed 3 men in dark suits, positioned strategically near the exits. David's security team, already in place. Here's what's interesting, Vincent, David continued, his voice taking on the tone of a professor delivering a particularly devastating lecture. Food Flow didn't just stumble into market dominance. We earned it by understanding something your family never learned. What's that? Vincent whispered. That respect isn't inherited. It's earned every single day. David pulled out his phone, a simple black device that controlled an empire worth $47 billion. Let me show you some numbers, Vincent. Real numbers that your lawyers and accountants will confirm within the hour. He tapped the screen. The restaurant's overhead monitors suddenly displayed a presentation that made Vincent's blood freeze. Food Flow Partnership Analysis. Rothschild Restaurant Group annual revenue processed, $2.847 billion percentage of total revenue, 67.3% monthly order volume, 14.7 million orders, average delivery fee, $4.99 per order, platform commission, 18% of order value. These aren't threats, Vincent. These are facts. David's voice remained conversational, which somehow made it more terrifying. Your family's restaurant group processed 14.7 million orders through our platform last year. Vincent stared at the numbers in horror. The math was undeniable and devastating. Our commission structure is 18% of order value plus delivery fees. That's how we generated $5.1 billion in revenue last year, while your entire family business generated $800 million. The investors who had accompanied Vincent were frantically taking notes, calculating implications, texting their firms to liquidate positions immediately. Richard Blackstone was already on the phone with his hedge fund, shorting restaurant stocks across the board. But here's the really interesting part, David continued, advancing to the next slide. Contract Clause 15.7, which your legal team signed without reading carefully. Partner executives engaging in discriminatory conduct, illegal behavior, or actions that damage Foodflow's brand reputation trigger immediate contract review and potential termination. Termination triggers include felony assault charges, hate crime violations, public discrimination incidents, viral negative publicity exceeding 100K social media impressions. Vincent's father was calling again, his ringtone cutting through the silence like a death knell. Vincent answered the speaker, his hands shaking uncontrollably. Vincent, are you seeing the stock price? Dad, we're down 38%. 38%! The board is meeting in an emergency session. They want you removed immediately. The institutional investors are threatening to pull out completely. David stepped closer to the phone. Mr. Rothschild Sr., this is David Thompson. The silence on the other end was deafening. Even through the phone, you could hear a man's world collapsing. Mr. Thompson, came the elder Rothschild's voice, suddenly respectful and terrified. I'm so sorry about my son's behavior. We had no idea he was capable of this kind of incident. You had no idea that your son was a racist who commits assault when challenged? David's voice remained perfectly calm. That's concerning from a corporate governance perspective. We can fix this. We can make this right. Vincent will apologize. We'll donate money, implement training programs, whatever you want. David looked at Maya, who was listening intently while dabbing blood from her lip with a cloth napkin. This was her show now. It's not about what I want, David said. It's about what the law requires and what justice demands. He nodded to Maya, who stepped forward with the poise of someone accustomed to addressing medical conferences and congressional committees. Mr. Rothschild Sr., Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the phone, your son committed a felony assault against me tonight. That's a criminal matter, not a business negotiation. Dr. Thompson, please, we can... But, Maya continued, there are business implications we should discuss. Vincent's face showed a flicker of hope, like a drowning man seeing a life preserver. David, could you explain our options to the Rothschild family? David smiled for the first time that evening. It wasn't a pleasant smile. It was the smile of a chess grandmaster announcing checkmate in 12 moves. Certainly. Vincent, you have exactly 60 seconds to choose from the following options. Choose quickly, because after 60 seconds, the choice becomes mine. The restaurant held its breath. 200,000 live stream viewers typed frantically in chat boxes. News outlets were dispatching crews. This was becoming the business story of the year, possibly the decade. Option 1, David said, his voice taking on the cadence of a courtroom prosecutor. Immediate public apology, live stream to current viewers. Full admission of wrongdoing, acknowledgement of assault, commitment to criminal and civil accountability. Vincent's lawyer was screaming through another phone to say nothing, admit nothing, claim self-defense. Option 2, complete resignation from all Rothschild Group positions within 24 hours. No severance package, no continued involvement. Permanent removal from the restaurant industry. Vincent's inheritance, his legacy, his entire identity crumbling with each precisely chosen word. Option 3, personal donation of $2 million to civil rights organizations chosen by Maya. Not corporate donations that you can write off, personal funds from your trust account. Vincent's personal wealth hemorrhaging in real time while the world watched. Option 4, implementation of the Thompson Standard across all Rothschild Group properties, comprehensive anti-discrimination training for all staff, anonymous reporting systems, diverse hiring requirements, quarterly third-party audits. Systemic change, permanent oversight, corporate transformation that would outlast any individual. Option 5, you choose all 4 options above. Complete capitulation, total surrender. Or, David's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, somehow more menacing than any shout, Option 6. Food flow terminates all contracts at midnight tonight. Rothschild Group loses 67% of revenue immediately. Stock price collapses to penny stock levels. Bankruptcy filing within 90 days. 8,900 employees lose their jobs. Your family's century-old legacy ends tonight. The nuclear option, corporate death by smartphone. You have 50 seconds remaining, David said, checking his watch, a simple Timex that looked almost humble compared to Vincent's $30,000 Patek Philippe. Vincent looked around the restaurant desperately. His investors had abandoned him, literally backing toward the exits. The staff avoided eye contact like he had become radioactive. The crowd watched with the fascination of Romans at the Colosseum. 40 seconds. Vincent's father was screaming through the phone. Take the deal. Take whatever deal they offer. Don't let them destroy everything. 30 seconds. The live stream chat was exploding. Say yes. Take the deal. Your career is over. 20 seconds. Vincent's breathing became rapid and shallow. Panic attack symptoms were setting in. 15 seconds. His $4,000 suit was soaked with sweat. His Italian leather shoes slipped on the marble floor. 10 seconds. Vincent fell to his knees on the marble floor, his designer suit crumpling like his dignity, his empire, his future. I choose all of them, he whispered. Options 1 through 5, all of them. David nodded once, satisfied. Excellent choice. He gestured to the restaurant's sound system. Maya's phone connected wirelessly to the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, David announced to the room and the 250,000 plus viewers watching online, Vincent Rothschild would like to make a statement. Vincent struggled to his feet, his legs shaking like a newborn colt. The weight of 250,000 eyes watching through screens around the world pressed down on him like a physical force. His $4,000 suit was wrinkled, his face pale and sweaty, his voice barely above a whisper. My name is Vincent Rothschild III, he began, the words catching in his throat. Tonight, I committed an unforgivable act. The restaurant was silent except for the soft hum of phones recording history. I assaulted Dr. Maya Thompson because I believed she didn't belong in this restaurant. I believe this because she is black and dressed simply, while I am white and dressed expensively. Vincent's voice cracked. I was wrong, completely, utterly wrong. Maya stood motionless, David's arm around her shoulders, watching justice unfold in real time. I grabbed her belongings. I destroyed her grandmother's glasses. I slapped her hard enough to draw blood. Vincent's confession echoed off the marble walls. I did this because I am a racist, because I believed my family's money made me superior to her. The live stream comments were exploding with satisfaction and vindication. Dr. Thompson is a brilliant cancer researcher who saves lives every day. I am nothing compared to her. Vincent's voice broke completely. I will face criminal charges. I will pay civil damages. I will resign from my family's business, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to undo the harm I've caused. David stepped forward. Vincent, you mentioned criminal charges. Let's address that immediately. He nodded to Derek Williams, who approached NYPD officers who had arrived during the confession. The arrest had been inevitable, assault caught on camera by hundreds of witnesses. Vincent Rothschild, Officer Maria Santos announced, you're under arrest for assault in the second degree and aggravated harassment as a hate crime. The handcuffs clicked with finality. Vincent didn't resist. His investors had vanished. His lawyers were scrambling. His father was probably drinking himself into oblivion. Maya watched the man who had terrorized her being led away in cuffs. She felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. This wasn't about revenge. It was about ensuring no other woman would stand where she had stood tonight. The criminal process will proceed, David explained to the cameras, but tonight we're implementing immediate changes that will protect others. 3 hours later, Rothschild Sr. sat in his executive boardroom, surrounded by lawyers and crisis managers. The stock ticker on his wall showed the damage in real time, down 47%. Institutional investors were pulling out. Decades of family reputation destroyed in a single evening. Implement everything they want, he barked into his phone. Every single demand. I don't care what it costs. We're hemorrhaging money by the minute. His lawyers worked frantically, drafting policies Maya and David had outlined. Zero tolerance for discrimination. Immediate termination, no exceptions. Anonymous reporting systems managed by external civil rights organizations. Comprehensive training programs with real consequences for failure. Third-party auditing with public scorecards. The Rothschild name, once synonymous with exclusivity and privilege, would now be forever linked to the most comprehensive anti-discrimination policies in restaurant history. 1 week later, Vincent sat in Rikers Island, his bail denied due to flight risk. His cellmate was a drug dealer who recognized him from viral videos and wasn't impressed by inherited wealth. The silver spoon had turned to lead. Maya testified before a grand jury, her words measured and devastating. Video evidence from 12 angles, audio recordings, 300 witnesses, blood evidence on her blouse. The grand jury deliberated for exactly 17 minutes before returning unanimous indictments on all charges. Meanwhile, David was transforming the industry from his food flow headquarters. Restaurant chains called begging to implement the Thompson Standard before they became the next viral disaster. McDonald's, Starbucks, Subway, corporate executives who had never spoken to each other were now competing to prove their commitment to equality. 2 weeks after the incident, Maya returned to her research lab to find it transformed. $57 million in new funding had materialized overnight. Medical conferences fought over her as a keynote speaker. Pharmaceutical companies competed to sponsor her cancer research. The woman who had been told she didn't belong anywhere now belonged everywhere that mattered. But the real victory was in the stories flooding social media. Restaurant workers posting videos of new training sessions, customers sharing experiences of improved service. Managers described how the Thompson Standard had changed their workplace culture overnight. A waitress in Chicago posted, "For the first time in 5 years, I felt safe reporting a racist customer. My manager backed me up instead of telling me to just deal with it." A black executive in Atlanta shared, "Took my kids to a fancy restaurant last weekend. The hostess smiled, seated us immediately, and never questioned our reservation. This is what normal should look like." 3 months later, Vincent stood before Judge Patricia Williams, a black woman who had faced her own discrimination climbing the legal profession. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the courtroom. "Mr. Rothschild, you committed an assault motivated by racial hatred while being recorded by hundreds of witnesses. Your actions caused individual harm to Dr. Thompson and systemic damage to civil rights progress." Vincent's public defender, his trust fund frozen pending civil proceedings, remained silent. "However," Judge Williams continued, "your victim has made an unusual request." Maya stood in the gallery, her new glasses identical to her grandmother's frames. "Your Honor, I don't want Vincent Rothschild to disappear into prison and learn nothing. I want him to serve his time doing something meaningful." The sentence reflected Maya's philosophy. 18 months incarceration, but with 1,000 hours of community service in homeless shelters. $2 million in restitution to civil rights organizations. 5 years probation with mandatory counseling. A lifetime ban from restaurant industry leadership. 6 months after the slap, Maya and David hosted their anniversary dinner at home. Their guests included Derek Williams, recently promoted to head of security at Le Bernardin with a substantial raise. Jessica Chang, whose food blog had become a platform for restaurant accountability. Even Robert Carter, the former manager who had been fired but was now leading diversity training programs across the industry. The conversation wasn't about revenge or punishment. It was about the 847 restaurant chains that had voluntarily adopted the Thompson Standard. The 12 states that had passed discrimination reporting legislation, the 67% reduction in reported restaurant bias incidents, the 2.3 million times hashtag Thompson Standard had been used to share stories of positive change. Maya raised her glass of wine, a simple vintage, nothing ostentatious. "To quiet power," she said, "to the understanding that true strength isn't about what you can destroy, but what you can build." David smiled, remembering the broken glasses he had helped collect from a marble floor 6 months ago. Those shattered frames had somehow become the foundation for rebuilding an entire industry's approach to human dignity. The slap heard around the world had become the change felt around the world, not through violence or vengeance, but through the simple revolutionary act of refusing to accept that discrimination was just the cost of doing business. Maya's grandmother would have been proud. Her glasses had finally seen justice. 1 year later, Maya stood at the podium of the Kennedy Center, addressing 3,000 diversity leaders from around the world. Behind her, a massive screen displayed a simple image, her grandmother's broken glasses beside the new frames she wore today. "A year ago, I was slapped in a restaurant for existing while black in a space someone decided I didn't belong," Maya began, her voice carrying the same quiet strength that had captivated millions. tonight, I want to share what that slap created. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. The Thompson Standard is now implemented in 2,847 companies across 47 countries. Discrimination incidents in participating restaurants have dropped 89%. But the real victory isn't in the numbers, it's in the stories. Maya clicked to the next slide, a photo of Keisha, a young black woman in server's uniform, smiling confidently. Keisha wrote to me last month. She said she finally felt safe at work because her manager stood up to a racist customer instead of telling her to just deal with it. That's transformation. Another click. An elderly Latino man with his family at a fine dining restaurant. Carlos celebrated his 60th wedding anniversary at a restaurant that would have turned him away 2 years ago. The hostess greeted him with genuine warmth. That's progress. The slides continued. Children of immigrants eating at country clubs, Muslim women in hijabs welcomed at exclusive establishments, wheelchair users accommodated without hesitation. Vincent Rothschild completed his community service last month, Maya continued. He now runs a non-profit helping formerly incarcerated individuals find employment. He'll never work in restaurants again, but he's found a way to rebuild what he tried to destroy. The transformation extended beyond restaurants. Hotels, retail stores, entertainment venues, entire industries had adopted similar standards rather than risk becoming the next viral discrimination incident. Maya's research had flourished too. The publicity had accelerated her cancer treatment development by decades. Her breakthrough therapy would begin human trials next year, potentially saving 100,000 lives annually. David and I recently adopted 2 children from foster care, Maya said, her voice softening. 8-year-old twins who were separated from families destroyed by systemic racism. They'll grow up in a world where their right to exist in any space is protected not by their parents' wealth, but by policies we built from broken glass. She paused, letting that image settle. I never raised my voice that night, never raised my hand, never sought revenge. Instead, I raised the standard for how human beings treat each other. That's the only power that lasts. The standing ovation thundered for 5 minutes. But Maya wasn't finished. True change happens when we use whatever position we have, whether it's billionaire or busboy, doctor or delivery driver, to protect others from experiencing what we endured. When we transform our pain into policy, our hurt into healing, our trauma into triumph. Maya's final words echoed across the auditorium and live streamed to 2.3 million viewers worldwide. True power isn't about raising your voice or your hand. It's about raising the standard for how human beings treat each other. When we use our positions to protect others, we create ripples that become waves of change. Have you witnessed or experienced discrimination in restaurants, retail, or public spaces? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters and could help others. Hit that share button to spread awareness. Subscribe to Black Soul Stories for more inspiring accounts of quiet strength creating loud transformation. Together, we're not just sharing stories, we're rewriting the rules of human dignity, one story at a time.